Okay, in this lesson we're going to be looking at some word problems now that we've learned how to solve using substitution. All of these word problems that we look at today you will be able to solve using the substitution method. Our essential question is to explain how to write a system of equations from a word problem. So I want you to be able to explain the process and the steps. Okay, so let's look at our first example. Please read it to yourself. Notice the first thing that is important here is it's really important that we define our variables. And remember, most of the time, we're going to have two unknowns, two things that we don't know. Now, I know right here that it says per month. I don't want that to trick you. We're going to assume that, Kenesha, we're just looking at 1 month's pay. So the month is not one of our unknowns. But what we don't know is the total sales, and we're trying to figure out how much she'll actually earn. So our variables here might be that X is the total sales, how much she actually sells, because that's usually what salespeople do. They earn commission on their sales. And then our Y is going to be her total pay, or how much she earns in 1 month. Okay, so we have two different situations. Her total pay could be the $500, so like she earns $500 each month no matter what. It's kind of like a base salary, plus 4% commission on her total sales. Well, if we're earning a percentage of our sales, remember we multiply that, and anytime we have a percent in a problem, we need to make sure we change it to a decimal. So it'd be 0.04 times X. So there's one situation. The second pay, she could earn a total pay of $400 plus the 5% commission, so 0.05 times X. Now, we sometimes get tripped up when we see a system like this because it's uncomfortable. We already have both equations that are solved for. So to use our substitution method, we're just going to put the two equations equal to one another. Okay, just like that. And so I would encourage you right now to go ahead and stop the video and see if you can solve for X on your own. And when you're finished, turn the video back on and see if you got the correct answer. When you solve this, you should get 100 equals 0.01 X, divide by 0.01, and get X equals 10,000. So that means the total price of the athletic shoes Kenesha needs to sell to earn the same income from each pay scale is $10,000. So she needs to sell $10,000 in shoes. That's a lot of shoe sales. Maybe it's possible, not really sure. So when it says which is the better offer, I would say that it kind of depends. If she sells, and again, we should state this in a complete sentence, but I'm going to be real quick here. If she sells less than $10,000, then it's better to earn the 4% commission. But greater than $10,000, it's better to earn 5%. And so we need to take that into account when we look at our situations. What we're selling, what we need is dependent on what's going on. So just depending on what you have depends on what the better offer would be. Okay, let's look at example number 2. Please read the problem to yourself and see if you can decide what our two unknowns or our two variables would be. I'm going to use different variables this time because you won't always see X and Y being used. I'm going to use A for the number of adult tickets. And I'm going to use S for the number of student tickets. Okay, those are our two unknowns. We know a total cost, and we know a total amount of tickets. So we're going to write one equation that has to do with the total cost, and we're going to write one equation that has to do with the total number of tickets. So that's always a good thing to look for here, is to look for totals, and that will help guide your equation. So this one's a little bit different than the first one. We know it was $7.25 for adults, so $7.25 times A, the number of adult tickets we buy, plus $5.50 times S, the number of student tickets we buy, would be our cost equation. And then it told us we bought 8 tickets, so the number of adult tickets plus the number of student tickets equals 8. Now looking at these two equations, which equation would be best to solve for a variable? I hope you said the second one, okay? And we could solve for A or we could solve for S. It doesn't really matter. In my notes, I went ahead and solved for A. So this would be A equals 8 minus S. And so now using our substitution method, we're going to take this and plug it in for A right here. So 7.25 times 8 minus S plus 5.5S equals 5275. Now, if you'll take a minute, use a calculator, solve that equation for S. When you get done, you should get that S equals 3. So the question was, how many adult tickets and student tickets were purchased? Well, we purchased 3 student tickets, and see how by defining it as S, it helps it be really clear what we had. 3 student tickets and 5 adult tickets. Every problem is going to be different, but some key things that you want to pay attention to is totals. And then, of course, you want to pay attention to the numbers. And very, very important from the very beginning, you want to make sure that you define your variables.